Hello, my crafty friends. It's Marie from Marie's Vermont Creations, and today is day 14 of the Countdown to Christmas card series. And the theme for today was stencils. So I wanted to do some double stenciling. So I have this deckled edged stencil set, which is from a Colorful Life Designs, and I am using the waffle flower grip mat to help me hold my stencil. And I'm just taking some blue cardstock from my stash, and I am using tumbled glass distress oxide, and I'm putting it all in this rectangle center of this stencil. I did this so that you could see the stencil before I add my second stencil, and I am going to end up making 3 card panels throughout this video. I'm just going to use these same exact stencils for each one. So it's this one that I'm using right now, and then I'm going to use a snowflake stencil, which I believe is from Simon Says Stamp. I got it from a card kit, I'm pretty sure. So for this one, I'm going to put it down using that grip mat to help me hold it and pressing it as well as I can. I do believe there's a little bit of pixie spray or tacky spray on the back of this. And then I'm going to take some of the silver lunar paste from Simon Hurley and use a palette knife and just as evenly as I can spread this over this stencil. So that's going to have just the snowflakes in the center. It won't go outside where the other stencil is sitting. So I'm just trying to make sure I have an even layer, and then I will pull this off, and off screen I will wash everything so none of this hardens. So I washed the stencils, my palette knife, everything. Make sure to seal the jar up pretty good and put everything back in because you don't want to waste any of that. And so then here's the reveal so you can see the stenciling. And then I will peel it off, and so it leaves just the clean rectangle behind. And so I will set this panel aside to dry. I don't end up finishing this one for a card base. I like it, but it dried a little lumpy. It would just need some foam tape behind it, but I really continued on with the other 2 panels and finished those, and honestly just didn't want to wait long enough for that panel to dry. So I am just going to line this stencil back up again. And this time I am going to take, I think it's Chip Sapphire that I end up using, which is again a distress oxide. And so I'm just using a blending brush, and I am going to completely coat this rectangle. I love this stencil because it gives you that rough, like torn paper edge of the rectangle, and it comes in multiple sizes. So you could essentially layer them up together, but I opted to just use this as my border. And so once I get this where I want it, I am going to heat set it a little bit off screen. I am just wiping. This is what gave me the idea. I was wiping this with a baby wipe so that I could add my next stencil on and not drag the blue everywhere. And of course, when you add any moisture to Distress Oxide, it lightens up your ink. So I'm going to put this snowflake stencil back down and press it down as best I can. And then I'm going to take that same baby wipe and just wipe up some of this ink. I didn't want to do too much because I don't want to, pill my paper, because this is not watercolor paper. So I want to make sure that this is, not going to ruin my paper. So I'm just doing it gently, and it's going to be a very subtle look. You're not going to be able to see it like, wow, oh, that's really a white where I've taken away the color. It will be subtle. So while I'm doing that, I just wanted to talk about this series. I am joining Michelle from Scrap Secrets. We are bringing you 2 videos a week now until Christmas. I will have the playlist at the end of this so you can go through and catch up on any videos that you're missing, including the intro videos, which talk about what you need to do for the giveaways. So now I'm just adding some white paint and splattering that on. I did take the other stencil away, I left the border stencil on so that the splatter would only be on the ink blended section. So now I'm going to reveal that, and I did wipe off my stencils so that they wouldn't have any ink or paint on them. And then here's my first panel, and then I decided I was going to do one more. So I am going to take and again set up my same stencil again using that grip mat. Like I said, I thought I was done, but I was like, no, I want to try this one more time. So I'm going to put that down and repeat the same thing, and adding the blue ink, Chip Sapphire. And so I'm going to get that whole panel completely coated again. And again, off screen, I do heat set this a little bit so that I'm not smearing that ink, because if you don't give Distress Oxide enough time to dry and you add another color to it, it will you know, bleed into each other. I do end up, because I'm using some white pigment ink with the stencil this time, it does turn it a very pale blue, which I don't mind. I actually like how this turned out. So this time I took the border stencil off, and I'm going to put the snowflake stencil on. And so I'm going to use the white ink pad direct to the paper. So when I use it in the middle and then go around the edges on the border of this, it will make it that light blue. You'll see what I'm saying when I pull it away. And if that bothers you, this is a really old ink pad, so it's, you know, I probably picked up some blue on it, but it's really easy. You can wipe it off with a paper towel or a baby wipe. I have re-inker for it, so I'm not too stressed about having a little bit of blue on there. So I just completely coated the entire panel and then pull this away, and it gives you kind of a light blue outside and white on the inside. So now that I have my panels done, for the two on the right hand side, I am going to complete them as cards. So I pulled out this sentiment stamp set that I have from Hero Arts, and I am going to stamp out Merry Christmas and Happy Holidays using the blue ink that the Distress Oxide in Chip Sapphire. I don't know why that name keeps escaping me, but that's the one that I use. So I'm just putting this in my mini Misty, and I will stamp these down a couple of times. And then once I get them stamped, I will off screen cut them down into smaller strips so that I can add them to the front of my cards. And then I do that. You could add these with some foam tape if you wanted, but I just use some double-sided adhesive to adhere these down to my panels. So I do debate where I want to put them, but I settle on some spots, and I will get them adhered. And I left that just this way. I didn't add any other embellishments. I was thinking in the center, and then I decided to go off to one side and lined it up with the far edge of the card panel. And then for the other one, I put it on the opposite side, and then I will adhere those down to some card bases using some liquid glue. And once I get that completed, that is going to finish the cards for today. Let me know down below which one you liked best. Is one of these panels you like more than the other? I have to say this one I'm adhering right now, I think turned out to be my favorite. If you have any questions or comments, feel free to leave them down below. I will have Michelle's channel linked in the description box below, because I hope you'll check out her video to see how she interpreted the stencil theme for today. And give her channel a like and a follow. And as always, I hope that you have a great day.